How many of us have them? Friends. I couldn't stop thinking about that Fresh Prince episode. I didn't talk about
this episode, yeah. After
so
we
good.
recorded it.
Yeah, Friends.
We're talking about your levels 1, 2s, and 3s.
Relationships, connections, friends.
Where we struggle.
And also how we've grown and also how we've lost and numbers have shifted in that. Friends. How many of us have them?
Perfect.
Welcome to the Mizell Show.
An inspiration for a new generation.
Hi, I'm Alanna Mizell, a loving mother of 2, a devoted wife to Steven, and an entrepreneur helping women realize their dreams and potential.
And I'm Steven Mizell, caring father of 2, a devoted husband to Alanna, and a driving force to help young men prepare for life after college football.
And if that wasn't enough, we're a biracial couple.
She was raised in the North, but I was raised in the South.
The only thing normal about our lives, who am I kidding? It's never normal around here. Join us for the Mizell Show.
Right now.
I like it like that.
Clearly nothing's changed. We're back on the Mizell Show, and Alanna's...
Yeah, baby. I like it
she's on one tonight. And she's drinking decaf coffee. Which makes it even more
brother. I haven't even
scary.
taken a skip yet.
A sip?
A sip.
Yes. Episode 35.
35?
35 episodes of the Mizell Show.
Ah!
Back at it. Yes.
You're older than me.
Yes, our podcast is older than you.
I'm only 31, just so we're all clear. I'm
Clearly.
not 34.
Well, still older. Yes, we're back.
That just burned my tongue a little bit.
We're back on the Mizell Show.
The Mizell Show.
Episode 35. And
I can't
so
believe we've done 35 episodes.
we have done 35 episodes. And so
Does that sound like crowd noise?
does not sound like crowd noise.
You sure? That really might.
It does
sound
not
just
sound
like crowd
anything
noise.
like crowd noise.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Alanna.
Oh, okay.
But you know, you get an A for effort in trying.
I like A's.
I like A's too. I don't think this episode will be co-hosted by Briggs. I think he's sound asleep now, which is good.
Lord willing.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, you guys, he literally just appeared behind us.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, just a
my
kind of a scary
gosh.
moment there.
Okay, so Steven literally
I just
literally says, I think Briggs is asleep. And then we
turn around, headphones on, doing a podcast. He's just staring at us.
freak.
Yeah.
What a weirdo.
I think anybody that has kids is you're not really a parent until you've had one of those moments as a parent and a kid. Like either you wakes up and the kid's staring at you, or they like just busting your door.
We used to make fun of my my sister and brother-in-law because their daughter did
Oh,
that.
you had to tell a story about your sound machine turning off your fan.
Dude, okay, so this is totally off topic, but
It's
so one morning I had just gotten my Hatch from Amazon.
Yes.
And
Shouts out the Hatch. Awesome.
/ feel
sound
free to
machine.
sponsor us. We'll do an ad. It's
Yeah, we
fine.
do have.
You
Yes,
can
Hatch,
reach out to
holler at
us.
us.
Hey.
Show notes.
Okay, so just gotten my Hatch. I have a fan right near my bed.
Love a fan.
It's the best. It's the best fan ever. Anyway, so, and like I sleep hard. When
Sleep
I'm
hard.
asleep,
Yeah.
I sleep. So all of a sudden, my sound machine,
I left. I think I was either at work or went to the gym or something. I was gone.
it was off or like going up to wake me up. I don't know. But then the fan turned off. And I was like, oh, cool. When did my Hatch all of a sudden turn my fan off? Oh, no. It wasn't the Hatch. It was Briggs turning off my fan.
Staring at her.
Being
Staring
a
at her.
weirdo.
Like
Waking me up.
Before the moment, Alana literally thought that her sound machine was automated to turn the fan
I was
off.
like, how cool is that? Steven must have figured that out.
No, it was Briggs being very weird. But as we
It's
do
my other alarm
other alarm.
that I birthed, unfortunately.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. We love him. I didn't mean it like that. Okay.
Yeah. So we on the Mizell Show, we tend to like recap our week or something happens and kind of tell a life story. So many of you guys know that I sell real estate. And so this past week, we were able to help a client find a house, and we were super excited about. But me and Alanna sat down and we realized
this client specifically was a really fun relationship.
It's a fun relationship, but the fact of the matter is, we met him 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's
like once or twice.
Once or twice. I showed him a couple rental houses because he wasn't sure about buying, and he went off.
Because he had just moved to Memphis.
But just moved to Memphis,
right?
And he went off to rent 2 houses in a 4-year span. Yeah. And sometimes
2 years at one, 2 years in the next.
Yeah, and sometimes with real estate, you plant a seed and you kind of like and then the way, unfortunately, where our life is, we're not able to market as much as we would like to in real estate, so we kind of rely on word of mouth. And so all of a sudden, like 6 months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, he reached out to me and was like, hey, I'm ready to buy a house now. I'm like, swerve? Yes.
Well, and his budget wasn't small.
It was a good budget.
Hey.
But at the same time,
it's
though,
so fun to look at different houses and to have a different market than what we're usually working with.
But I think more importantly, it made us reevaluate, just think through like relationships and friends. And here this guy is that we met 4 years ago. And in those 4 years, I've probably talked to him maybe 5 or 6 times.
Right.
But in that 5 or 6 times, he felt enough loyalty and enough.
And in the 4 years he's been in Memphis, I'm just going to tell you, this man has met at least another real estate agent.
Yeah, he's at least
minimum
met another real estate agent, or could have Googled and randomly drove on a house and called a random agent, like a lot of people sometimes do.
To me, I don't know if you guys know Enneagram 8 or Enneagram at all.
Yeah.
I'm an Enneagram 8. I'm a loyalist. So when people are loyal to me, I am fiercely loyal back to them.
Yeah.
But when they are not loyal to me,
swerve.
I am fiercely not loyal.
Yeah.
And then I protect those that are loyal to me.
Yeah.
Sometimes in a very unhealthy, terrifying way. I love my people, and I love my people hard. So
you love your people to be protected.
Right. Yeah. So now this couple is in a different bucket.
They're definitely in a different bucket for me.
Because of loyalty.
Because of loyalty. And it's just mind-boggling. So it made us think back to, as you know, if you feel the free, you can go to my Instagram or a lot of Instagram. We have like videos that we've done.
Older videos.
Yeah.
Over
time. And so like a couple of years ago, we actually broke down like friends and like the circle of people that you bring into your life.
Yeah, and we call it levels 1, 2, and 3. That is from a book somewhere.
And we'll figure it out.
And now I cannot remember. But so your friends are 1 of 3 levels.
Yeah.
Your level 1 friends are your acquaintances.
Yes.
The large majority of your coworkers are going to be level 1s.
Yeah.
Most people you interact with hover around the level 1s.
Yeah.
This couple, because we had met them twice, probably wasn't even a level 1.
They probably wasn't level 1. I mean, they're probably skirting on a level 1.
Right. Like, oh yeah, I know who that is.
Yeah.
It's kind of, that's like almost a level 1.
Yeah.
That's like a half point.
Yeah.
So level 1s are like, you would talk to them, you would have a conversation with them, but they are not deep conversations. No. You probably don't know what they majored in college. Right. Or maybe you do know that they have kids, and somebody says, oh, how old are their kids? You're like, I think they're in elementary school.
Yeah.
Like very vague.
Yeah.
And then there's level 2 friends. And the difference between level 2s and level 3s is when it gets a little tricky.
Yeah.
So level 2 friends are friends that you probably would invite to your wedding.
Yeah.
They may get invited to your kids' birthdays. Maybe you'll go celebrate their birthday. That kind of thing. They're a little bit more in depth. Like, you know how old their kids are. You know, like, you've got their address. Maybe you send them a Christmas card.
They're on a Christmas card list.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
But level 3s are a different breed. So you only have a handful of level 3s in your life.
Yeah.
And so Steven is one of my level 3s. And yeah, I know that sounds
level
weird
3?
that like my husband is my level 3, but that's a relationship that I'm choosing to partake in.
Yeah.
Being open and vulnerable, like gloves off,
yeah,
walls down. I would say relationships are very, very, very hard for me. like level 3 relationships are very hard
Yeah.
for me. Vulnerability is not something I am good at.
Yeah.
And as soon as, let me back up. I can be vulnerable about what I've gone through, but being vulnerable about what I'm going through currently, and when I need help or when I need additional prayer, fill in the blank, I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
Not like the loyalty truck has to be there for a very long time. I would say I have, outside of Steven, 2 other level 3s.
And that's very hard because as I listen to you, Alanna is one of my level 3s. I'm easily
Thought I was a 2 for a second.
No, you're level 3.
As long as I'm not a 1, baby.
I mean, I truly feel. Oh my goodness,
That was funny.
it was funny. I might have 2 level 3s. I mean,
You do.
It's something that you really have to partake in. And
Did you know that I sell makeup? Not only do I sell makeup, but the makeup that I sell is 3D makeup, which allows you to highlight and contour your face in a super simple compact. As a mom, I could not survive without my simplified routine. Not only that, but it's exactly what you need. Exactly when you need it, all in one spot. Go ahead and check out Alanna Mizell on Instagram or alannamizell.com to learn more. The level 3s are tricky to figure out because imagine that you are going through something real hard.
yeah,
Outside of your spouse, which maybe for some people your spouse isn't the first person you turn to,
yeah,
but outside of your spouse, who would you turn to? Like your parents could be level 3s.
yeah. I think
Mine, like I just struggle with vulnerability. You guys like authentic vulnerability. I don't share with people. I just don't.
Yeah.
Not what I'm currently going through.
True.
After I've been through it, trudged through it, figured it out myself, I'm like, okay, now I can share kind of how I figured that out. But I don't love people in the crux with me.
Yes. And I think, that's something that we can really dive into. Like you mentioned that you struggle with relationships and I'll definitely say I've struggled. That's something that is, you can't teach it, but like the art of relationship and meaningful friendship and connection, that is like, I'm not going to say dead, but it's very, very hard.
But you can teach that. That's called soft skills.
Yeah, and you can, but
and
I'm saying...
the problem is that it's going to sound very nerdy. This is what my thesis was on. The problem is that we're not even trying to start soft skills teaching to where people are actively communicating in schools until they're in high school. And the only reason is because they then have to potentially interview at a top level college. It's like, I've got to make sure that they're prepared for an interview. That's really what the soft skill situation is about.
I mean, that's a whole other ballgame.
If you can't come across and connect in an interview, there's a guy, oh my gosh, I can't remember his name. I did my thesis 2 years ago now. Anyway, but he's in Atlanta, Georgia, and he started implementing soft skills in his classroom and created a different leadership dynamic within his classroom, within his homeroom. And it drastically changed so much so that
Is it high school or middle school?
Middle school.
Middle school.
He started in middle school.
Okay.
And there were aspects of it that you can implement in elementary school. Okay. Because there are things like compassion and empathy and articulation and having a tough conversation.
Ooh, yes.
And broaching, confrontation in a positive way.
Yeah.
Confrontation doesn't have to be negative. We choose to put negativity on it. Mm-hmm. And so now he's got a school in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. But when you actually sit and dig about it, the whole reason that middle schools were separated was so that they got more specific training and more specific attention. And the reality is these 6th graders that are 11 years old need to be getting soft skills training.
Yeah, and it's something that in my current position, and I think in my positions that I've had throughout higher education, it's something that it is needed. And it kind of gets us off topic here, but it goes back to why people struggle with the 1, 2s, and 3s of relationships and friendships. It's because you don't have those early conversations and like 6th, 7th grade, and then because that's the most vulnerable age in middle school. That's when
Yeah.
you want to be teaching these soft skills, but now it's
Well, and like, can you imagine going through something in middle school and teaching somebody how to be compassionate, and then they're going to carry that over in life? And I think within another big point for me between a 2 and a 3 is that with my 3s, I've had confrontation.
yes,
And we are stronger because of
the
it.
2s have gone, and I would agree with that.
They've you progress in that relationship. Now, one of my 3s, she like ran into a 3. She just like the minute I met her, it just clicked.
Yeah.
But she was a 2 until we had confrontation, and we're stronger because of it.
Yeah.
And now we don't notice the confrontation we're having. We just go, "Hey, I got to talk to you about something."
Yeah.
And it's not a personal thing. It's I love you so much that I want you to grow in this area. And I know I can articulate it because I know you that well.
But here's a question for it. When do you have a 1 or 2 or 3 and you broach that line of like, it's about confrontation, and you then decide, is this person worth it? Or do I just close the chapter and push this person back to a 1 or 2? Because I personally, in my endeavors with real estate and endeavors with my industry that I'm in right now, I found myself a couple times in those situations. I'm like, you know what? It is not worth it to bring that person up from a 1 to a 3.
But why? So saying that they're not worth it, who is that detriment there?
I guess me.
You're the one that's carrying the problem.
True.
So I think that they move up or down a level depending on how the confrontation is reciprocated.
So you have the conversation. You have the.
I am pro having the conversation because if not, you sit and you dwell on it, and then that person, whatever happened, is taking up so much mental space and so many of your energy points in the week.
A sectional and his feet up is in
right. They
your
are
head.
hanging out at your movie room, and they were never invited.
Never invited.
They weren't even you weren't even trying to have them be in the
That's
neighborhood.
True. That is
but
true.
they're all up in your business, and they're probably eating snacks from your pantry that were supposed to be safe for later.
Yeah. Oh, I see what
So
you're saying.
that's the thing. How
Yeah.
they respond
That's,
is up to
so
them.
the response piece a lot of times
That's
is
for me, but
what
I am
can-
pro have the conversation.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Here's how you do it. You pick up the phone. You pick up the phone. You pick up the phone.
Or you
Pick
meet
up
them
the
in person
phone.
with the mask on.
Right.
6
You
feet
don't
apart.
text them.
Yeah, no text.
You don't send a voice text.
No.
There's nothing like this. And this has worked so many times in my professional career that I can't even put it into words. And I have so much more respect for people from getting through confrontation.
Yeah.
And they are at different levels with me because we got through confrontation. And here's the thing. When you get through confrontation with somebody and they don't judge you for having the confrontation, it's a whole different ballgame.
But they do judge you. You just keep them at the 1s.
Yeah.
It's just not
Then
worth
you
it.
just repositioned yourself. I'm so sorry that you don't get the benefit of my relationship anymore.
That's true.
That's putting up a boundary to protect yourself and protect your heart. But at the same time, if you don't talk about, let's run this back. Okay.
Okay.
So let's run through a scenario before that's happened to us. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So there was a young student that we were mentoring that, we did references for her sorority. We did a number of things for her.
Yes.
Helped to get her job.
Yeah.
We were trying to help her the best way that we knew how. And she was so young. We were younger. And it was just kind of like a good fit. It was more like a big sister, big brother situation than anything else. So she ended up joining the same sorority as me.
Yes.
And then decided to drop the sorority. Her dropping the sorority was not the problem.
It's how you found out about dropping sorority.
It's how I found out about her dropping the sorority and that my name was tied to her.
Yeah.
So when I tag my name to you, you ask me to give you your reference. There's another level and standard that we have now stepped to.
Yeah.
And so I never had a conversation with her. And I regret it. I regret it. There's another couple that we sat around our dinner table. We're helping them figure out real estate stuff.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden they bought a for sale by owner, didn't have an agent represent them. They just did it by themselves. all well and good, you guys, but when we spend hours researching information, giving you all of our real estate knowledge because of the courses that Steven has paid for, and then it feels like you've gone behind our back and purchased a house versus just saying, hey, we got to save this 3%.
Or, hey, yeah, exactly.
Like, there's a difference there. But I've never had that conversation with that friend. So our relationship is vastly different.
Yeah.
And now it's almost to the point where it'd be weird to have the conversation.
Yeah.
But had I just picked up the phone and been like, which then thereafter, I picked up the phone and said, hey, really, it's not cool.
Yeah.
That hurt our feelings. That, that makes me feel like you're not respectful of the time that Steven and I spent. Mm-hmm. And I just want you to know I notice it. And it really did hurt me.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this. A couple of times it's been great. A couple of times I don't talk to him anymore.
Yeah, and that's the thing that you go back to of you saying that you are the one that determines that. Like you don't give them the benefit of the doubt of living in your head, but then you have that conversation, and how that conversation goes, you are at peace because you had the conversation.
Right.
But also how they react is like, hey, do you take a step up from a 1 to a 2 to a 2 to a 3, or do you at the end of the day, like it ends the friendship? Well,
right.
not
And
ends
like,
it, but
here's the thing: when you face confrontation like that, and it's not about, oh my gosh, I need more 3s. Oh my gosh, I need more 2s. That's not what it's about. Relationships are hard. Relationships can be hurtful. Mm-hmm. But when you have that conversation, when it's something that has hurt you, what you're doing is you're fast tracking the relationship. Because had I not had the conversation with a number of these people and stopped the relationship, it wasn't intentional. I didn't just ignore them.
Yeah.
But like I also wasn't going to spend my time specifically on them.
Yeah.
If it wasn't going to be reciprocated. And one of the other things that Steve and I talk about a lot is how much are you worth? Mm-hmm. So don't look at how much you make right now, but the job that you aspire for, the job that you believe you are worthy of getting, how much should they make an hour?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So say it's $50 an hour. Mm-hmm. If you spend $50 of your time wasted upon a person because you are unwilling to have the confrontation and have the conversation, then you're wasting your valuable money. And that is $50 you could have spent on somebody else who loves you and is worth more than $50 an hour.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
And that's how I see it. I see it from a standpoint of you being able to not only waste your time, but I see it from another perspective is it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality of those people in those 1, 2s, and 3s. Because so many times, like you said on your Hump Day Happenings the other day, you were talking about how so many times you focus on the naysayers and not the 2 or the 3 that actually are believing in you. And that's why I think it's very important, what we're talking about right now, is to seriously take a step back and reevaluate your 1, 2s, and 3s in your life. And we grew up in a different time frame in terms of me being from the South and Alanna's from the North, and having the confrontation and maybe swaying from the confrontation. But I definitely say, as a young man that's growing and trying to mentor young men, it's tough, and it's something that a lot of guys avoid, and they rather just hide behind a keyboard, or they'll run away from it. And now you have grown men who are acting the same way, and they've never been able to have confrontation or have tough
take constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to grow professionally if you can't have a hard conversation with your boss?
And how can your boss ever decide to grow if he's not going to have a tough conversation from one of his employees?
Like you're never going to be a manager or a successful manager.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to end up having a closet job that nobody cares about.
Or you have a bunch of people that are continue to be afraid or not telling you what you want.
Say yes.
Say yes.
Right. And there's that quote, your personality makes up the 5 closest people to you, or something like that.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So who are your 5 closest? But also, if you look at history, so you look at Christ and his 12 disciples, he wasn't close with all 12 of them.
No.
Shoot. One of them was the reason he was crucified.
It's true.
So let's just go on and say that. So maybe that's a person that you have confrontation with, that you would go ahead and you actually have the conversation. Mm-hmm. And they needs to go down to 11, sister. right?
Yeah.
So then Christ, when you actually look at it biblically, had 3 close disciples. One of which, after Christ was crucified and risen, ran away 3 times.
Yeah.
So it's not saying don't get in relationship with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Don't spend your heart. Don't be so closed off that you're afraid to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But know that there's a time and a place for certain relationships.
It's also time and place to reevaluate the relationship.
Right. And it's okay to have the tough conversations, have hard confrontation. And if you're struggling with how to have that conversation, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help. Mm-hmm. But we've got to start having them. Because if we can't talk about something that's happened between me and you, how are we going to open the lines between diversity and inclusion? Understanding where LGBTQ comes from. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? Our minority issues that we have, our economic issues, our societal issues, our demographic makeup.
Yeah.
Like, you literally cannot. If you can't have hard conversations with the people that you say are closest to you, then you're never going to be able to open up the boundary lines.
True. And that's why it's important to have these healthy discussions. And it's something that we, like I said, with this kind of recapping, this relationship that we had 4 years ago that kind of came out of nowhere just made us kind of rethink like our 1, 2s, and 3s.
Yeah.
And
it's going to sound weird. It also made me so hopeful.
It made me hopeful too.
That there are people like us.
Yeah.
That maybe some people just don't know. Mm-hmm. I think that's important. But it just made me hopeful that, yeah, we are making an impression.
Yeah.
People see our authenticity. And
it's something that might be rare or might not be seen these days, but that's a good point.
Right. And that hope. And people that are loyal to the level that we are, I was bred to be loyal to a fault. Mm-hmm. But once the fault happens,
it's a wrap.
Sorry, brother.
It's a wrap.
It's a cutthroat world in the Alanna Mizell house. Well,
yeah.
I guess just me because you're not like that. Anyway, you guys.
What is that supposed to mean?
You're not as cutthroat as me. Sometimes I'm a little too intense.
But sometimes you're also. I have to step up and handle it.
Oh, that's right. Because if Steven doesn't...
Customer service?
If Steven doesn't handle it, bless. Sometimes it ain't going to be pretty.
But sometimes it won't get done.
Like what?
Sometimes you feel sometimes awkward and you're like, no, you have to do this for me. And a lot of times I get the same way to you. I'm like, I'm not handling this. You can call them and then you handle it.
Well, like reprimanding our kids earlier today?
That's on you. I don't do that. I'll be the first one to tell you I don't reprimand our kids. Nope, sure don't. That is not me.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm the one that had to call Trader Joe's to get the flowers.
That's not because I was being awkward.
Then why'd you do it then?
Oh, I'm so sorry that I was hanging out with your 2 offspring. And you were at a
desk.
desk.
Offspring?
With your seed.
Oh my.
And I was hanging out at a desk.
Oh my god. I was hanging out at a desk?
Were you at your desk near a phone?
No. I was
Lies.
busy. I just stopped everything for you though. Anyways, we appreciate you guys on the Mizell Show.
I wish y'all could see my face right now.
Yes.
Anyway, we are so grateful for you guys. I'm hoping that you reflect on your levels 1, 2, and 3s. Step up having hard conversations.
Hard conversations are hard, but they're very important.
Face confrontation. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be bad.
No.
It's just how you see it. And I would bet your relationships will get stronger because of it.
They will get stronger, or they might shift from a 3 to a 2 to a 1.
Or be out.
Episode 35. Yeah.
35, baby. Please feel free to check out our Instagram. It's at The Mizell Show. We try to do a decent job with it.
We do. You know where to find us.
Sometimes we're on the struggle bus.
But
you can always message on there. Every Tuesday we launch a new episode. If you haven't noticed that by now. Every Tuesday, that's when you can hear from us again on The Mizell Show. Thanks, guys. Are you loving The Mizell Show? Well, we love you all. And did you know that you can have me and Steven talk to your team or a group of 25 of your friends? All it takes is 25 people showing up on either a Zoom call, a Facebook Live, or really anywhere. Hopefully in person sooner rather than later. But how do you get us? So all you have to do is email themizellshow@gmail.com, or you can direct message us on Instagram @themizellshow.